Welcome, everyone. We are today on this very new podcast at CARE, and I am about to present you very impressive gentlemen. This podcast is actually for you to maybe discover what's under the hood at CARE. But what is CARE? Do you know about CARE, what these guys are doing here in Senegal? Welcome, Dr. Amadou Sall. Welcome, Xavier.
Thank you, and thanks for having us.
Thank you very much, Demba. Welcome to you.
Well, I'm very curious. How did you guys meet?
Maybe I can start and probably. When I had the idea about coming and working in Africa, Pasteur Institute was an obvious one based on the fact that my background was in biology. And the director at the time recommended me after we have our first meetings to meet with Dr. Xavier Berthet, who at that time was actually doing his military service. And that's how, after meeting him, I really was very impressed with the institute because we're working both on molecular biology. And then he turned out to be my supervisor on the project I did here. So that's how we met and how we became very good friends, having similar passions. And even though at some point he left, and 30 years after, we decided to work together. So I think one major lesson I learned out of this, it's always about human being. When you connect human being, you connect ideas, and that's how an idea like CARE today has happened, because of our mutual understanding and common goals to save life and protect life too.
Very, very interesting. Very interesting. I'm not sure everyone knows actually what CARE is. Xavier, can you please tell us what CARE is?
Yes, so I will try my best. So CARE is a concept, an idea, and now it's a realization about bringing together the most exciting people in terms of teachers, entrepreneurs, discoverers, researchers, inventors, and also the young generation. So students, but also engineers, technicians, people who are not into the classical education, but are craving for changing the world. And we are providing an agora, a place where they can meet, greet, exchange, and construct. And the idea initially was proposed by Amadou when he was nominated director of the institute. We resumed working together, and he was very keen on taking advantage of the huge potential of the young people in this country and allow them to be exposed to the best among the best. So having a space like CARE was in his mind. I think the concept has been evolving, and now it is what it is. And we are really in the process of giving it a soul, a vision, a character. So that's what CARE is at the moment.
Amadou, do you want to add something?
Yes, I think there is just two main things I want to add. CARE is an acronym standing for Center for Africa Resilience to Epidemics. But this acronym has been built in the way that we want to show that we care about people suffering from epidemics. So the idea about resilience is really to make sure that our common goals is to find solution through educating people, bringing new ideas through innovation, and using that approach to transform our society to make sure that out of the COVID pandemic, we have built a place, a space, a platform where this will never happen again. So all this idea about resilience is very important. The second thing I just want to bring is that we tend to work in silos. And as Xavier was explaining, when we have very different people, passionate, working together in public health or in science or learning new things, it's really when you connect knowledge, know-how, technology, as well as impact. So that's what CARE is trying to do, build this ecosystem where people can work together to solve problem by making sure there is a local and homebrew innovation going and impacting people. So we are really obsessed by people and how we can protect them from epidemics. So that's really what CARE is about. And as Xavier was mentioning, this is an evolving concept where things like anthropology should be connected to artificial intelligence, as well as expert on investigating epidemic or developing vaccines.
What is funny also is if you shuffle the acronym, you make CLEA, which in French and in Spanish is create, and also race. So we are creative and racing.
Excellent. I love it. I love it. I love it. Can you please give us a little bit of where maybe you come from, or in what space you have been trained, and what input you are bringing based on that background?
So I would probably reject the name of bright people. I think it's unquiet people, unquiet. So people who cannot stay too long doing the same thing. And at least for myself, it's really the case. After 3-5 years of doing the same, I start getting bored and I need to do something else. And with this very little trait inside me, I had been exposed to many different sectors, areas, ideas, people, and I think this is what brings you a bit of differential aspects. So I was trained, my background is in molecular biology, molecular microbiology exactly. I did my PhD on the molecular biology of tuberculosis, and I was lucky enough to discover the antigens that right now are used for the testing. And after that, I realized that researchers don't make enough money for my taste, so I decided to switch to the private sector. So I worked into the pharma sector for 10 years, and then I created a consultancy agency in value creation, and that's when the path of Amadou and myself crossed again. He was recently appointed director of the IPD, and he hired me for a series of endeavor.
IPD, which stands for
Institut Pasteur de Dakar. Yeah, sorry. So we resumed working together, and I think CARE is really a baby of this interaction. He came up with the idea, and we crafted the concept together, plus other people who also brought a lot of value in the adventure. And regarding mathematics, I think it's not in my background, but it is something that brings me a lot of interest, peace, and also it's my secret garden. So it's a place where I can, when you are a researcher, you need a lab, you need reagents, you need facilities. When you do mathematics, you just need a piece of paper and a bit of time for thinking. And I think with age, I think it's something that brings me a lot of satisfaction.
This was actually a very strong wish for both of you, actually. And I'm more and more curious to know, Amadou, I don't know if it's you or if it is both of you guys, how did you actually convince whoever it is to fund this? Because I feel like you knew this was really important to embody in a way. How did you actually manage to make it happen?
Yeah, I mean, you're bringing very important questions about how do you move from the ideas to making it happen, which is really great, and give an opportunity to thank the funders that are supporting this, particularly the European Union and the Mastercard Foundation, among others, but these are like the major one. So what we used to convince them is, as Xavier described, is really showing them out of COVID how the workforce development, human capital development was key to avoid being in a position where we are facing an overwhelming threat without having the potential to solve it quickly. And the European Union was very sensitive about that because clearly they could see that there is a gap in Africa when it comes to that. And Mastercard Foundation is very much involved on bringing youth, women to do more work, job, particularly in the areas of science. So what we really used was those ideas that the threat is there, the epidemic won't stop, and we need a next generation of people to deal with that. Now, even though I have the idea, Xavier did a tremendous work in making this like marketable, in the sense that putting it in the right packaging and showing the value this may create has helped a lot. I have also to give credit that we have a third guy that worked a lot, which is not here, which is Xavier Berthet, to be fair, that helped a lot interacting with EU. So these are like, I would say, the three people that was from the idea to dealing with the money or packaging and sell it as play a key role.
Xavier?
Yeah, what was really interesting in the birth of the concept, Amadou had a very clear idea about how to tap into the local talent, I would say West African talent, to create value by creating highly qualified jobs, by bringing new ideas on the table, but also by exposing these new, I would say, fresh talent to state-of-the-art knowledge and also inspiring people. And along the way, we came up with a logo, we came up with a name, we came up with a business plan, and with that in hand, we were able to pitch and start grabbing the attention of people without even a stone of the building. So it was, for me, it was a very nice endeavor, first of all because the interaction was super thrilling, but also because we could notice bit by bit that we were constructing something that is making sense. And then, after the contribution of Christophe and Amadou, who were the pioneer in raising the money, then went the phase of constructing the building. It has been also, I would say, for me, the less interesting, but probably the most tedious and difficult part of the story. And once we had that delivered, the question was, so what now? So, and then we hired Aisha, and I think it has been also a new breeze into the whole story. So it's really a people story. Right? Everyone bringing its own part, taking over or catching up with the work of the other, and the concept is getting, I think, better and better every day.
If you allow me to add just something in line with your question, how do we sell this? From the beginning, we obsess on having it sort of locally grounded. That's why there is, even in the naming of the different activity, we're very cautious. Typically, the training center, we call it DARA, which is Dakar Health and Research Academy, which is related to the local school, like what we have in Senegal, having a local lab. When we think about the lab for innovation, we reflect on calling this lab Fix Lab. Fix meaning frugal, innovative, convergent, and social-oriented area. And in that, we really work around the idea like it's really important that people understand it's about solving problems, not necessarily just being creative to be creative. And when we talk about all this epidemic intelligence, we talk with Xavier, he came up with a name about Jagora, which is really the agora that is doing disease intelligence. So all this is really in terms of marketing it, making it nice, like the name Care, but altogether bringing in the same umbrella and making the packaging in a way that people understand that it's about creativity, it's about being young, it's about being locally grounded, and make sure that we are oriented to solve problems locally to build that resilience. So that's really, for me, in terms of marketing it, what was the most important to convince the people to fund it. And we are happy that this is happening. And once again, what Xavier was saying, the building has been really crazy. So we have many colleagues that was involved in that, and we are happy, and this is happening today.